Thank you for allowing me to come out today and talk to the SAC Committee about some of the things that are coming up or issues that we're seeing that need to be addressed within the classroom. My focus is on technology. As a business and technology teacher, there's a lot of things that we see within our department that are starting to become major issues, especially when it comes to students transitioning into college. So today I'm going to talk to you about how the technology and how colleges are switching to technology for a lot of their curriculum, and how it's increasing rigor for these college students, especially first-year college students, students that are at their associate's level and at community colleges. So, first of all, a couple of facts. About 2/3 of the jobs in 2014 required some college. So that's really important because we have a lot of students who are leaving high school and maybe not pursuing college for a lot of different reasons, but 2/3 of the jobs out there are requiring some college, whether that's technical, community, or full-blown degrees. Out of that, about 25% of the students who actually attend college earn a degree. So that's pretty low considering we have so many kids going into college but not actually finishing the program. So that's important. And the main thing I want to focus on is that now 90% of the colleges out there offer online classes, which is where my focus is, because a lot of colleges are switching to either online programs, online curriculum, they're using e-text, and this is a major issue for parents as well as teachers to really understand, because it's going to determine the success of their student when they get into college. It's not just the curriculum, it's going to be the actual online portion. The other thing is about 50% of the online student population is at that AA level, the associate's level. So that makes it even more difficult because they're entering college, they're having to deal with the difference in rigor from a high school versus a college level course. And then on top of that, they're having to deal with being in an online environment and dealing with the differences in structural modality, dealing with the differences in how the course is taught, and the fact that they may lack technology skills to even participate in the course, let alone use the curriculum. So, a couple other things that I thought was pretty interesting was that there's an increased demand for online courses, obviously because of flexibility. A lot of students going back to school or students entering college are wanting flexibility. They're not wanting to have to go to class, they're wanting to be able to take it online, having a flexible schedule. The problem with that is that there's an actual correlation between high withdrawal and failure rates, specifically in online courses. It actually surpassed the traditional classroom by 20%. So there's 20% more students failing or withdrawing from online courses compared to the kids in the traditional classroom. Okay? And that's important because the type of student that usually takes the online class, we have a couple of examples here. One is a working student. They're either working part-time or full-time. They need to have that flexibility. You have students who are older, returning back to school, again, probably working with families, needing that flexibility. Students with low income because they're usually at a community college level, which is where we see the majority of the online classes. And then we have students who actually have families. They have, husband, wife, kids, and they're needing that flexibility. The problem with that is that they're not completing the courses. There's something there that's a barrier that's pretty much just preventing them from being able to complete that course. And there's a few things that actually play into that reason. When I researched it, the main thing is that there's a few common reasons that most colleges have found throughout their research on why students are not successful in these online courses. Most importantly, there's differences in the instructional modality, how the curriculum is getting to the student versus a face-to-face where I can read the instructions to you, I can read the directions to you, I can explain the directions to you, I can answer your questions immediately, where a student in an online class has to be able to read the instructions, read the syllabus, read the directions, and they're misreading, they're neglecting to read, they're missing pieces, they're not asking questions, they don't have that piece, and they're not trained to do that, because in high school, they're used to having the face-to-face, and we're here to pretty much support them in that. So it's how can we assist in making them more independent in their own learning? The other thing is, and this is something I see a lot, I'm a professor myself, they have inadequate technical skills. I've heard it before, they can work a cell phone, but they can't use their programs for professional and academic settings. They don't know how to use them properly. They don't know how to use them to be successful. And the problem is that if I'm taking an online course, if I can't even get logged in, open the syllabus, make sure my computer settings are correctly, open a video because my plug-in player is not working, and not know how to troubleshoot that, I can't even get to the curriculum to learn. So you have an automatic barrier right there with a lack of technology skills. So how can we support that troubleshooting feature so that they have the technology skills they need to be able to even attempt the curriculum? Because a lot of kids will drop or fail because they are just lacking in the technology skills, especially older students. And I've even seen it with a lot of younger students who just don't have the technology background that they need to be able to be successful. Fun fact here, about 50% of all jobs today require technology skills. So even if they're not going to college, 50% of the jobs require them to have the technology skills. And that's predicted to increase to 77% of the jobs will require technology skills. So even if they're not in college, they're lacking the technology skills to be successful in the workforce. So that's one key factor. And then of course, one of the things that I hear all the time is they lack the work ethic necessary for curriculum workload. An online class will usually have about 50% more work than a traditional classroom because they lack the face-to-face. So in a classroom where a student can hear a lecture, in an online class, they have to read to replace the lecture. They don't have the work ethic necessary to spread out that work, to plan, to organize, to make sure that they're setting aside enough time each day to actually get through the work in this allotted time and have time to ask questions to the professors if they need help. Because that's another place that they lack. Because they lack the work ethic, then they lose communication and they're not able to be successful in that online class because of frustration and a lot of other things. So what have we done? One of the things I wanted to talk to you today about is just to kind of tell you here at Palmetto High what we are doing to assist our students in being prepared to go into the college or workforce and have the technological skills they need to be successful. One of the things we did do is we switched to an e-text. Most college courses now do not have a physical textbook. It's usually an access code to an e-text, which is usually customized for that school and for that specific program. So if students don't know how to use an access code to log in, to even get access to the curriculum or navigate the e-text, they're automatically going to be set up for failure. So we're working with e-text. We have online simulation programs, very similar to what they use at the college level, because they're going to have to be able to toggle between screens, have an e-text open, and also be able to work in a file. They're going to have to be able to research as well as take notes and write things down. So we're using online programs. We are increasing the number of project-based assignments that we do versus objective tests, so that the students are required to do more independent work and they're actually having to read for detail and read the instructions. And we're teaching them how to go through the instructions and highlight and make sure we're getting to each step and make sure you're reading for detail and you're not skipping over portions of those instructions, because as we know, that's where they're having to go. They're not going to be reading fictional text, they're going to be reading informational text, and they're going to have to be able to read for detail. We are increasing the amount of independent learning time. The online program allows you to pretty much work at the student's own pace, but it makes them accountable for their work, and it also increases the amount of work they have to do on their own versus us guiding them through it. We do use a gradual release model in our department, which is we usually demonstrate and have our lecture portion first. It's very short usually. And then after that, it's a one-on-one who needs additional support, and then the other ones work on their own. So allowing them to see that. Note taking is key because when they get into college, not only are they going to have an online course with an e-text, with digital instructions, with a digital assignment, but while they're doing all that, they're going to have to take notes. And not notes that I gave them, not notes that I guided them through, not notes that I had on a PowerPoint, notes that they're going to have to be able to read and take on their own. And a lot of them don't know how to do that. They do not know how to read the text and pull out the information that they need to be able to continue. So we work with them on taking notes and knowing what to write down and how to kind of shorthand that. Holding students accountable, I know one of the things that we try is using assignment checklists so that they can be accountable for their work, so they can check off that it's been completed. They have to keep track of what the percentage was that they received. Even though the teacher has access to that, they have to write it down. So that way they are accountable for what they're doing and there's no mistake about what was done and at what pace. And then finally, industry certifications. Industry certifications are all digital, computer-based certifications. However, they prepare them for the workforce. They are allowing them to be specialists or be certified in technical areas so that they can take that into either college or the workforce and be prepared. Students who don't have access to those industry certifications kind of lack that experience. Our students being able to have that experience get to go forward with that behind their belt. Okay, I'll go back. Pretty much the last one here is the future. What has happened so far and what needs to happen next? What's happened so far? One of the things that we know of is that high school students are required to at least take one course online, which is a good step because it's introducing them to the online course at the high school level so they can kind of see the rigor that's involved in taking an online class because there's a lot of independent work ethic. Nobody's sitting there telling you, okay, go do this, this is due today, okay, do this, this is due today. So that's great. Industry certifications for our CTE courses is another step forward, allowing our students to be able to get certified or specialized in a certain area. That way they can enter the workforce or enter college with something already behind their belt and be able to go out and make a living. Online testing. Big controversy about online testing, however, it's the wave of the future. It's what colleges are doing, it's how colleges are actually administering most of their tests nowadays. So if our students are not introduced to it here at the high school level, they're going to be at a disadvantage because that is where it's at. So we have to move forward with that. A lot of our remediation in reading and math is done online. We have online curriculum. So using an online program to remediate these students also introduces them to the online environment. Also, they are accountable, they have to keep track of their pace, they have to make sure they're doing the work. So again, another step forward in making sure that our students are prepared. And then FSA, one of the things I thought was interesting is that with the new FSA that's replacing FCAP, it's all about informational text. They're moving towards reading for detail, they're moving towards informational text in every core subject area as well as elective area. So moving the test in that direction is where they need to be because, and like I said, moving forward, most jobs you're going to be in, you're not reading for fun. You're reading informational text. You're reading facts, you're reading reports, whatever the case may be, you're reading informational text. So if they're not prepared to be able to read and interpret, they're going to be at a disadvantage. So those are good things that have already happened and we should move forward with. What should happen next and how can you implement this in your subject areas? It's easy for us as business and technology teachers to say we're going to implement technology. That's what we do. But for other subject areas, it's a bit of a challenge. One, for budgetary reasons, and two, it's a challenge to move forward and get rid of that old way of thinking. Increasing the number of research projects that require technology use. That's a good way in any subject area to have students use technology. I really believe that that is a key component in their success.